The truth is that a prenup is the most adult conversation two people can have before pledging a life together. It is the moment where illusions are set aside and reality is acknowledged. Yours, mine, ours. What you bring in remains yours, what I bring in remains mine, and what we build together is shared. Simple, honest, fair. Yet for most couples, this clarity is unbearable. They would rather sign a blank check to the state than admit that their relationship, like all relationships, may not last forever. History teaches us that when we ignore the terms of a contract, we are dragged by them. Seneca wrote, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." And isn't that what happens to men in family courts? They never read the contract, never considered the terms, and when the day of reckoning arrives, they are dragged through alimony, through custody battles, through years of servitude, all because they refused to prepare when love blinded them. But here's the paradox that most miss. Prenups do not kill romance, they enhance it. Because when you know you can leave, yet you choose to stay, that is love in its purest form. When you are not bound by fear of financial ruin, every day together becomes a conscious choice, not an economic necessity. This is the difference between captivity and freedom. A bird in a cage may sing, but the song is meaningless. A bird that stays when the door is open is expressing something real. Research into human psychology confirms what men feel intuitively, the intense chemical rush of new love, what psychologists call limerence, fades within 18 to 48 months. After that, relationships are no longer sustained by biology but by compatibility, honesty, and shared values. Without agreements in place, what follows is often resentment, arguments over money, and eventually collapse. But a prenup forces the conversations that most couples postpone until it is too late. What happens if one of us stops working? What happens if one inherits wealth? What if, God forbid, we fall out of love? These are not negative questions. They are responsible ones. Real stories illustrate the stakes more vividly than any philosophy. Consider the businessman who built his company from nothing, only to lose half of it in a divorce settlement, forced to sell shares and hand control to outsiders just to meet obligations. Or the father who lost custody of his children, condemned to see them on alternating weekends, while still paying the mortgage on the house he no longer lived in. These are not anomalies. They are the silent reality for countless men whose names will never be known, but whose suffering is etched into every courtroom in every city.